Good morning. It's Wednesday morning. Here we're back in the usual circumstances. I'm going to read Acts 5:12 through 16. Many signs and wonders were regularly done among the people by the hands of the apostles, and they were all together in Solomon's portico. None of the rest dared join them, but the people held them in high esteem. And more than ever, believers were added to the Lord, multitudes of both men and women, so that they even carried out the sick into the streets and laid them on cots and mats, that as Peter came by, at least his shadow might fall on some of them. The people also gathered from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing the sick and those afflicted with unclean spirits, and they were all healed. So just after this story of Ananias and Sapphira dying because they lied to the Spirit, now we have this story in contrast. Peter and John and some of the others go to Solomon's portico, which is a porch-covered place on the side of the temple, and they go there every day, and they're teaching and they're healing people. And a lot of people come to believe, and they're even laying their sick out in the street so that Peter's shadow might fall on him as he walks by. And they bring the sick from all the towns, and everybody gets healed. So there's this huge outpouring of the Spirit's healing power on Peter and John, and and they're healing people from all their sicknesses and diseases. Medicine as we know it is very, very recent. In the last 50 years, medicine has changed tremendously. I knew an old surgeon who probably finished medical school around 1932, and he used to just shake his head and say, unbelievable. It's just unbelievable what they do now. Where, in his mind, you cut people open and look and see what's in there, and they would go in there with a little tiny tube and just clip, clip. So, it's all unbelievable. Well, all of that, we've grown up with it, but it's fairly new. 100 years ago, the doctor, had a few medications and a couple of remedies and good luck. And 100 years before that, they, wrap you in hot towels and hope for the best. So there was no medicine back in these days, and people were sick with things that we would think of as minor irritations. They get the flu or they get a cold or something, but they'd get really sick and be within, a couple of days of dying. And Peter would come along and pray for them and say, be healed, and they'd be healed. And so this is very different from our experience of illness, and very different for the people at that time as well. And so all these people are believing. And many of them are believing maybe because of the miracles. I think Jesus had some trouble with that now and then. He said, you believe because of the signs. Why don't you believe me? I think he says something close to that somewhere. So there's a little frustration maybe. But the fact is they came and they believed. So that was good, even if their motives were a little wrong or a little different. At least they believed. And so it occurs to me that we don't necessarily need to give everybody a theological exam when they come to the church. If somebody comes in and says, we say, do you believe in Jesus? Yes, I do. Well, welcome. They don't have to subscribe to the 5 tenets of tulip Calvinism or the Synod of Dort, or have read Calvin's Institutes and write a book report on it, or any of that just to join the Presbyterian Church. In fact, in some cases, we'd prefer that they didn't read Calvin's Institutes. But they just were welcomed, and we should welcome people into the church, regardless of who they are and what they want. Get them in here and see what we can teach them, and see what they can learn and how their lives can benefit. That's really what we're about, I think, is helping people draw closer to God. So let's do that today. Go out and draw people closer to God and heal their sick, all right? or at least think about it. And we'll see you tomorrow.